great weekend for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Great start to the new year for them. And I think they are set up for a lot of success coming into 2025. And we also got to talk about that Kenny Omega match, which was nuts. Wall Street Money says, the fact that Omega was out for a year, then came back to a classic match, that's my GOAT. I can't argue with that logic. Glad Omega is back. AEW has great talent, and it keeps getting better. Yeah, and, like, this isn't, like, the watered-down version of Kenny Omega that we got, or that we have in AEW. Like, and again, I say that with... People are going to get mad when I say that, but... Last night was a true reminder at how talented Kenny Omega was. And I'll talk about all that stuff in a sec, but I do want to get this off my chest. But, like, it really sunk into me, like, how much Kenny holds back when he's in AEW. It really sunk into me that even the man that we get in AEW, that we've gotten in AEW the past couple of years, of course he's had some awesome matches, but my God, the amount that he is capable of, and I'm not even talking about like the match he had with Gabe Kidd last night. People who didn't watch the match are gonna tell you, like, oh yeah, of course he doesn't do all that every week because it's all just flips and it's none of that. It's not even work rate. We don't. I can count on like one hand, like hell, half of one hand, the amount of matches that Kenny's had even in AEW that have been as emotional, as psychological, as visceral as this one, or many of his classic matches in New Japan. And it speaks to that style of wrestling just being, I think, leagues above what people traditionally think is like good wrestling. And again, that's just a preference on one hand for me, but it also is like just how the cookie crumbles a bit, because you have Kenny Omega, who, like, we know, like, he's going to be able to hit every move and all that kind of stuff, but it's not just about that New Japan. It is about something more. It is about, telling that story, and him and Gabe Kidd told one of the best stories I've seen in a very long time in a match. And I will make the argument this is one of the best return matches in wrestling history. I will make the argument that this was the star-making performance that Gabe Kidd needed for his career to go to another level. And I will make this clear that Kenny Omega needed this match to remind everyone that he might just be the best fucking wrestler in the world. And I say that as a Bryan Danielson fan, so do not take that lightly. It was awesome. It was everything that you could imagine it being and then some. And if you haven't seen the match, I implore you to go see it. It is one of those things where you have to be here in the moment, like around the time that it happens, because it is just one of those things where, you're going to regret it. I had plans, I'll be honest, to go to Japan for this show. Didn't end up working out. It is what it is. I've never had so much FOMO in my life. And I'm saying that over like the first dance. I'm saying that over not going to WrestleMania a couple of years ago. I'm saying that over not going to All Out a couple of years ago in 2021. I've never had so much FOMO about missing a wrestling show than Wrestle Dynasty last night. We got a friend of the show, Billy, in the chat. Kenny looked amazing and looked fully like himself. Yeah, this is a version of Kenny Omega that I don't think we've seen since probably 2021. Because if you even look at like Kenny Omega's like recent history in AEW, how many opportunities has he really had to shine on a big level since he was champion? He was out for a couple of months after he lost the Hangman Page at Full Gear 2021. Then Brawl Out happens. He's gone for another couple of months right soon after he returns. Then, he's there, but he's kind of like mid-card Kenny. And like that's kind of where he was slotted. But man, oh man, like this right here, I had one of those moments last night, like after this match, after I was processing everything, I was just like, I understand Will Ospreay is like where you got to get to. I understand Darby Allin maybe where you got to get to. But this Kenny Omega, this guy coming back into the fold, this guy coming back into the picture, it is going to take a major program for him not to be in the world title picture and not win the world title, in my view. And Okada might be that program if they do it right. And I know that, like, you know, it's easy to shit on Okada and his run in AEW right now. But when Okada and Omega are in the ring together, like, you can even see, like, Okada's someone, like, he's kind of done this throughout his career where, and I don't think, and again, like, people who not seen New Japan before will probably, like, not know this. But, like, Okada's been known to, like, you know, turn it on when he needs to, but sometimes it's like, okay, I'm Okada. I'm going to coast a little bit. And that's not, like, the worst thing in the world. It's not saying it's wrong or whatever. There are plenty of other wrestlers who do the same, like Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is probably, like, the most over, quote-unquote, wrestler there is outside of, like, The Rock, maybe. But he does the same thing. He knows that when it's time for Roman to shine, when it's that big match, when he's facing Cody at Mania, when he's facing Sammy at Elimination Chamber, I'm going to hit that next gear. But Bad Blood, Crown Jewel, I'm going to do what I got to do because I'm Roman Reigns. And it's going to be a great time regardless. So, I mean, I do think, like, there is that. But, oh, my God. All right, so Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd. Let's talk about the match. As Wall Street Money says, I think New Japan should do Wrestle Dynasty as a recurring pay-per-view. I think at this point it is going to become a part of Wrestle Kingdom weekend. I think that's going to be the night 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. And there's a very good crowd there in the Tokyo Dome for this show. Wall Street Money also says we are probably going to get Omega versus Kidd 2 at Forbidden Door in London. I would fully expect that. I would fully expect that to potentially probably be the main event of that show. And oh boy, that crowd is going to be rowdy for Gabe Kidd. But by God, guys, chat, this match was fucking spectacular. You had the story going in, right? Well, I mean, obviously Kenny's return was a big factor, but from Gabe Kidd's perspective, right? It was interesting because Gabe Kidd has kind of been like the renegade of Bullet Club. He's been like the loudmouth or whatever. And it like this story kind of took a turn because Gabe Kidd's entire thing was, you know, no one has done more to you know, destroy the legacy of New Japan Pro Wrestling over the last couple of years than Kenny Omega. Because Kenny left. Like, when Kenny left, the Bucks left. Like, when all these guys are leaving New Japan, Will Ospreay leaving New Japan, and it almost became like a New Japan versus AEW kind of meta thing, because, like, the whole narrative has always been in real life, like, New Japan's getting a lot of their talent poached by AEW, and Gabe Kidd, like, that was kind of the whole point of his story, like you work for the company that's taken away talent from New Japan and trying to destroy this place that helped build me, that I am help rebuilding because of what you did. And it was a very meta kind of storyline in that respect. And that was like the story of the match from, you know, the announcers who I think did a great job kind of cementing that point. At least the English commentary did a great job of cementing that point, to, you know, just the smack talk in between, which I just love. That's like my favorite part of New Japan stuff, is like the smack talk is relentless and it adds so much to the match. And like that really was it. And it was Gabe Kidd, like, you know, working over Kenny and his diverticulitis, his stomach. It was working over an injury to Kenny's ribs, I believe, midway through the match. And there was one point where Gabe Kidd hits, you know, a package pile driver after hitting, like, I don't even know, a Styles Clash tombstone. I don't know what the perfect terminology for that one is, but that was an insane spot. And Kenny Omega, 1, 2, as Red Shoes on the count, gets his foot up on the ropes. And At that point, I was like, oh no, oh, Kenny's about to cook him. And he did. One-winged angel. A lot of people were expecting Gabe Kidd to kick out of the one-winged angel. It did not happen. And like after the match, the scene is just insane.